I was halfway down my driveway in Pacific Bluffs when I saw her. A little black girl behind the wheel of a sun-faded SUV sagging on one tire, dawn still sitting low over the hedges, ocean, breathing like someone on the other side of a door. And before I could make sense of it, she tilted her chin toward the passenger seat, where a woman lay slumped, mouth open, skin too still, the kind of quiet that makes your bones listen. I said, "Kid, what are you doing behind that wheel?" "This isn't a game," and she didn't flinch, just said, "I drove us here, your house has cameras," like she had measured the world and chosen the one place where someone had to be watching. Two fingers to the woman's neck, pulse, faint forehead, burning a sweetness in the air that shouldn't be sweet at all. And while my mind was reaching for the neat policies I used to brag about, the girl kept going. "They told us no at the hospital. 911 said maybe later. And you know that sick feeling when your own words come back to choke you, That happened because I helped build protocols that sound reasonable in a boardroom and feel like a locked door in real life." I carried the woman inside. Her name was Dana. The girl's name was Zuri. And my place, all glass and silence, finally had a purpose that wasn't a brag. I grabbed a blanket, a cool cloth, sports drink, pills, the simple human stuff, and Zuri stood there in a pink hoodie with mismatched shoes, steady as a new moon, watching me like she was waiting for the moment I'd turn cruel in the exact way the world had trained her to expect. I called Dr. Lynn, a private doc who owed me a favor, asked her to come quiet and fast with no questions. And when she arrived, she moved the way. Real help moves. Oxygen fluids, vitals, no speech. Then looked at me and said, "She needs a hospital," and I said, "They already said no," and she met my eyes with the truth. Then you stop asking for permission and buy her time, because there are rules on paper and there are rules for people, and sometimes those two barely nod at each other. While the drip ticked and Zuri rested her cheek on her mom's leg like a kid napping at church, I went to my office, pulled a hard drive from the drawer, opened the folder I kept behind, polite words like optimization, and there it was, my signature on updates that made denial look like efficiency, my old pitch about saving the many by streamlining the few neat charts that never had to watch a child teach herself to drive. And the room felt smaller as I realized I had engineered this moment, not the miracle of Zuri's courage, the need for it. I called a journalist named Ray, the kind who lost a job for telling the truth and woke up more dangerous, and I said, "Bring a camera, no makeup, no spin. A kid drove her mother to my gate because my system taught a hospital to pretend they were invisible. And when Ray arrived, we mic'd Zuri in the den with the fireplace going low." Ray asked, "What happened?" And Zuri looked into the lens like it was a person and said, "They told us go away because our paper wasn't right. Then Mama got quiet. I called, and they said maybe later. Your sign said cameras, so I thought someone would help. And there are sentences you can build a nation on. That was one." I stepped in after her. No rehearsals, no hero act, just my name, my company, my lies that sounded like logic. The brother I lost to pneumonia in a hallway, where a screen decided he could wait, and I said, I was wrong. I said we weren't waiting anymore, and we posted the video. Her steady face, my cracked voice, the house that finally felt like it contained a human being. And the internet did what it does on a good day. It listened before it shouted. A resident from the Freeway Hospital messaged Ray and said, "Code 77C, we were full, I'm sorry." And yeah, it hurt, but it helped. Then came the suit, the letters, the threats with expensive letterhead and bad perfume. An agent in a perfect suit asking if I understood the crimes that might fit my name. And I said, "If the truth needs a villain, I know one." And he didn't smile, but he did ask if I would testify, and I said yes. Because once you feel the floor of your certainty give way, you learn how to swim or you drown. Talking about spreadsheets. We threw a small summit on the lawn, folding chairs facing the ocean. Nurses who cried in break rooms, a billing tech who remembered the red flags on low-value patients, an EMT who broke protocol to move a kid that didn't score urgent enough. We planted white flags with names, not a stunt, a ledger of air that finally had somewhere to land, and we streamed it without asking permission, because I know who writes permission slips. The twist came quiet and cold, a plain envelope with a photo of Zuri at a park and a note. Silence is safety, choose wisely, plus a flash drive with a muffled boardroom recording a voice I knew too well saying, "If the child becomes an icon, we lose control, neutralize her image," and I felt the word neutralize, try to vacuum the air from the room, not debate, not PR erasure, so we didn't hoard it. We uploaded the tape to an archive. We'd started called The Register, mirrored in a dozen places, with no single throat to choke, where each entry carried a name, a date, a story, verified by someone who had to live it. And the internet did the other good thing. It can still do, it refused to look away. They hit back with a forged memo carrying my signature, tried to paint us as grifters, paying whistleblowers. But metadata and the truth have a way of lining up if you stay patient. Ray tore the forgery apart on camera, and a coder named Jordan emailed from a burner to say, "There are 2 logs at Aegis, one for audits, one for truth, and when we cross-checked the second log, sang the song. The first tried to bury, which if you've ever worked inside a big system, you know exactly what I mean." Congress called cameras, clicked, senators practiced their scowls, and I sat at a long table under lights. "I wouldn't wish on anybody," said aloud, "what I used to hide behind adjectives that our model advantaged the insured and delayed the poor, that we taught people to call suffering an outlier. And when someone accused me of chasing redemption, I said I was chasing a mirror that didn't lie to me anymore." And in the gallery, Zuri squeezed Donna's hand, and the room remembered it had a heart. They asked if Zuri wanted to speak no pressure, which is the exact shape of pressure, and she walked to the mic, feet barely touching the floor, and said, "I don't know about laws. I know about doors. When my mom is sick, a door should be open, and the silence after that felt like the world blinking." We launched the Register fully, then, not a company, a memory engine, entries pouring in from towns I've never stood in, names read aloud in parks and churches and bus stops, a teacher in Ohio handing her class a stack of envelopes, a janitor in Texas reading a list into the empty bowl of a stadium at night. And although the Register didn't fix the world, it made forgetting harder, which is sometimes the first honest lever. We moved Donna and Zuri to a safe house that smelled like lemons, added security, kept filming the parts that should not need to be filmed, like Zuri drawing a courthouse on the porch steps and saying, "That's where people say sorry or where they get told to." And when she asked me if I was still rich, I told her not in money. She squinted like that was the worst pitch she'd ever heard and asked, "Then in what?" And I said people. And she didn't get it, but she will. The ending you might want is a parade. The ending I can offer is a hinge, a line that appeared on an intake screen at a hospital that used to use my software. Minutes to doctor added next to all the other numbers, a small change. That means the door is moving. Even if it groans, a state bill picking up bipartisan votes, because folks wrote in with names from the Register and dared their representatives to pretend those were just stories. A night vigil where nobody clapped. They just stood and let grief become a plan. And yes, a bomb threat that turned out empty, but told us what we're up against. I'm late and loud, I know that. But late and loud beats quiet and safe while a 6-year-old teaches herself to drive because grown men like me called cruelty a metric. And if that sentence makes you mad, I hope you ask yourself why, because I did, and it changed me. So tell me what part of this feels right to you, and what part scares you to admit should any door stay shut. Because a spreadsheet says so, or have you seen someone break a rule to save a life and knew in your gut it was the only moral math in the room? Drop your story in the comments. Where you're watching from what you've lived through the time a system treated you like a number and someone chose to see your name. Argue with me if you think I'm just late with a conscience, or stand with me if you believe the next yes could be yours. Like and share if you want this to stay loud, because this house has eyes now and we're not looking away.